In this video, we are recapping my storm chasing trip last week. Also, we have a very busy weather pattern coming up with storms expected today and tomorrow. And then, starting on Friday, the severe weather threat ramps up significantly as a multi-day threat aims to make sure April goes out with a bang and May comes in roaring. We're gonna break down all of this so you can be prepared. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. I am finally back here in the weather room after a very fun trip to Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Almost 70 hours straight of storm chasing will really tire you out, but to be honest, I kind of wish that's what I was doing most of the time. I gotta give a huge shout out to Andy and Carly and the rest of the team for holding down the fort while I was gone. In my opinion, our storm chasing live feed was leaps and bounds beyond anything else in the genre, specifically because of the work they did. For those of you who prefer my traditional content, no worries, I'm back. However, just know that this will happen once or twice every single year. I have to go storm chasing. It makes me happy. I think one of the reasons why I'm in the position I'm in right now is because every morning when I wake up, I'm literally happy to go to work. Sometimes I have to be in the middle of the storm to maintain that connection I have with the weather that makes me so happy, but I know I'm most useful here in front of the monitor, so that's where my focus is returning for now. So let's get right into it and continue to talk about the weather. All right, let's start off looking at the lower 48 here on the HRRR model. Let's see what the future radar is going to look like as we go into the future. If you want to keep up with the date and time, it's always above my head there. Today's April 27th, the 11th year anniversary of that super outbreak down there in Alabama up through Georgia, Tennessee. You guys know the story there. Thankfully, nothing like that is expected today, but we are going to have some showers and mostly some cold rain showers and snow up here in the Northeast, especially as we approach 5 p.m. Got some snow squalls coming off the lakes up here into Pennsylvania and New York, but watch this as I pull it forward. An actual, snowstorm with a big band of snow is going to affect portions of Maine and Nova Scotia all the way up into Quebec up there, and eventually that might drop a significant amount of snow, especially in northern and eastern Maine, as that low pressure system pretty much just stalls out over them and just dumps the snow. Eyeballs back to the west, and we've got a bunch of shortwave activity happening here. Got some storms popping up later today in Colorado and New Mexico. Some of those are going to be bringing some gusty winds, not a lot of rain, but some lightning, which actually might make the wildfire situation worse out there. Those are going to move off to the east and not really cause much of a problem in Oklahoma and Kansas. Eyeballs are going to go even further west, and we've got another system coming up into the Pacific Northwest, bringing some snow and rain from Oregon all the way up into Montana and Wyoming, and that is going to be kind of the driving force for our next big storm system that we're going to be talking about here in a second. Looky here, 2 a.m., we've actually got a little bit of a mesoscale convective system coming through Nebraska into Iowa. That'll bring some strong winds, some thunder, and some lightning into this area. And generally, guys, I mean, the next couple of days, the next 48 hours, is just going to be a scattered rain shower and thunderstorm kind of ordeal. Not expecting a lot of severe weather until maybe right here Thursday evening into early Friday, where that next big trough is going to spark some interesting weather over there. And we'll talk more about that right here in a second, but the immediate future looks mostly calm. All right, things get a little bit less calm, though, as we go later into the day on Friday, where we do expect more storms to form along a dry line over here in portions of Kansas and Nebraska, all the way down into Oklahoma, moving east into Missouri. We actually have a day 3 enhanced risk of severe weather here in the orange for Topeka, Ottawa, Emporia, Manhattan, and Junction City in Kansas. And of course, that goes all the way almost up into Lincoln, Nebraska. And I do expect that's going to be expanded as we go into the future. A day 3 enhanced risk is, not incredibly common. It's not necessarily rare, but this could end up being our next big prolific severe weather system, so we're going to watch it closely. Let's dissect the ingredients behind this so we can really figure out what's going to happen as we go into Friday and beyond. You can see early in the morning on Friday, we are going to have a bigger trough coming into the western portion of the U.S. That's going to bring in a little bit more rain, snow up there in the Pacific Northwest, some winds down here in California, but for the most part, the main thing that's happening here is a ridge is forming in the central and eastern portion of the U.S., allowing for some really warm and juicy air to just kind of stack up here, waiting to get interacted with that dry and cooler air. And that's exactly what that trough's going to allow to happen as we go later into the day on Friday. We got a pretty deep, somewhat negatively tilted trough here, and you can see that we have actually got some elevated winds down here on the southwestern side that's going to try to wrap around right in time for those storms to form. If we look even closer to the surface at the 850 millibar winds, or that lower level jet, you can see that those nadir juice values are going to rapidly increase as we go later on into the evening. So from 5 to 11 p.m., we're going to go from 20 knots all the way up to 60 knots spots there in portions of eastern Kansas, probably all the way down into Oklahoma. This is the definition of nader juice, guys. It's getting really juicy down there, and we could absolutely see some tornadoes with this setup. I think that probably 7-8 p.m. we'll start seeing those dry line supercells become a little bit more mature, and if they interact with this lower level jet, we will see tornadoes in this setup. So you know, it really just depends on how everything plays out with the convection allowing models and on the mesoscale level, but on a synoptic scale, this definitely looks like something that could be a big time tornado maker. And of course, because this is really expanding into the overnight periods, here we are at 2 a.m. on Saturday, we could be talking about nocturnal tornadoes or naders in the dark, which is something we never want to see here. So that's why we have that enhanced risk of severe weather for Kansas and portions of Nebraska. Speaking of a dry line, let me show that baby off. That right there is a tight and a well-defined dry line. Once again, guys, anytime you get storms happening, it's because an area of cool, dry air is forcing an area of warm, moist air up into the atmosphere. And you can just clearly see that happening here on the 0Z Euro model. This right here would definitely spark off some big-time cumulonimbus clouds, and the higher up they get, the more they're going to interact with that veering wind with height, and the more likely we're going to see supercells with tornadoes. Additionally, look at all this cape, man. We got convective available potential energy at the wazoo here from Texas all the way up into Nebraska. Those storms are going to eat that cape up like it's cake, and that is going to make them stronger. Okay, so the more of this we have, the more fuel there is in the atmosphere for storms, and there's going to be no lack of fuel with close to 3,000 joules per kilogram of cape all along the dry line here as we go into Friday afternoon and evening. So once again, this is why we had that day 3 enhanced risk. If you live anywhere in the risk area for this storm, I want you to be weather aware. I want you to be prepared, not scared, and I want you to get a NOAA weather radio. And you can actually get one of those right now from today's sponsor, myself, or my merch shop, shopryanhall.com. Click that link in the description right now and go check out this awesome website. We've got the swirly things design. We just came out with the Youngins collection, which means we have youth tees, baby bodysuits, we have toddler tees, and of course, if you go to weather equipment and you click right over here to the Midland ER210, we do have a NOAA weather radio for you. You'll get your severe thunderstorm warnings, your tornado warnings automatically through the system. You can put batteries in there, and also if your batteries run dead, it's got a crank on the side, and you can literally charge the battery in there by cranking it, so you have no situation where you're going to be without those warnings and that important information. Stay tuned, we will keep you updated. Now, let's get back into the video. All right, so not only do we have that enhanced risk on day 3 from the Storm Prediction Center, we also have the day 4, day 5, and day 6 outlook, increased probabilities for severe weather in all these areas. Because if we come back to our CAPE model here and we look at that fuel in the atmosphere for storms, it doesn't go away. Okay, it actually just expands and gets more intense as we go all the way through. I mean, look, we're at Friday, May 6th. We are entering a very stormy period as we go into May here, which is nothing out of the ordinary. May is typically our stormiest month. We typically get a lot of tornadoes and strong storms with hail in May, but this is going to be a daily event, it seems like, across a lot of the central and eastern portion of the U.S. with storms. Let's take a look at that instantaneous flash rate. This shows us where lightning's going to be happening. As we go into Friday, you can see that big dry line event spark off here, and this is where we're expecting some of those more intense storms. And then there's a little bit of warm front action up there in Iowa. That gets lofted all the way down into Illinois, Indiana, eventually into Kentucky. I mean, just look at this, guys. Widespread storms almost every day. All the way out here on Monday, May 2nd, we've got storms on the East Coast. We've got storms down here. We got storms over here. This is just going to be a very wet, thunderous May, or at least the first week of May for a lot of people here. Look at that. Look at that, just storms everywhere constantly. And of course, when it's not storming, it's gonna feel really nice out there. Look at this, spring-like temperatures advecting even further north. It's really hot over here in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, but the further east you go and the further down in time you go, the more pleasant it gets. We're up here in the 70s and 80s on the east coast of Virginia into the Delmarva. Now, unfortunately, if you're north of this line, it looks like it's gonna remain a little bit cooler than average, but that's actually one of the things that's aiding in all of these storms that are coming coming through. So, man, the temperatures are going to be on the rise. It's going to be hot. It's going to be juicy, lots of dew points. And if you are anywhere inside of the warm sector during this, you are going to get absolutely clobbered with storms, especially the closer you are to either of the boundaries between warm air and cold air. So it's certainly time to be hyper weather aware all across the United States. We're no longer just talking about the Dixie Alley, the Deep South, and the Great Plains. This is also going to start working its way into the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, the Midwest, the Great Lakes regions, and eventually into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast as well. Your severe weather season is knocking on your door as well. So we're going to watch this heat and this boundary very closely as we go forward. I do think it's going to cause quite a bit of problems. Here's a good way to visualize where most of the storms are going to be happening over the next, I don't know, 240 hours. This is the precipitation map. So this is how much total precip we're going to see over the next 240 hours. You can see right there from Oklahoma up into Kansas and Missouri, into Iowa, into Illinois. That's where the heaviest area of precip is. That's where we're going to see the most of these overrunning storms over and over again. But you can see how that does expand as far east as into West Virginia, Pennsylvania, portions of New York, and of course Ohio and Indiana. And then even back here into the northern plains, you guys are going to be getting some of that action as well. But I think that the real storm action is going to be withheld right here in the central portion of the U.S. as far as the severe weather outbreaks and tornado activity goes anyways. So yeah, we're back here in full force, guys. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because I'm going to have daily updates and probably a live stream or multiple live streams as we go forward. Hey, huge shout out to our members over here. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't do half the stuff we do. James Spann and Co. have invited me to be on Weather Brains next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you go tune in for that. It'll be a live discussion on weather, and there might be some hard questions there for me because from what I've heard, James Spann is not a fan of your typical YouTube weatherman, so I'm going to be trying to win him over there. That's all I got for you right now, guys. I'll have another video tomorrow. Goodbye.